Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android, Spotify, or the Five Reasons YouTube channel. We recommend using Spotify on either platform now just because it's been a lot faster than Apple Podcasts. If you don't want to wait an hour, get us from there as well. Also, check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. $2.99 per month. Link right here in the description. That's a direct link now. The place for the most heat, information, conversation, consternation, celebration, confirmation of your beliefs, and repudiation of your other ones. Check it out. It's Off the Floor. Link right here in the description. Again, get off of Twitter, get access to 10 channels, stage shows, and more. Really, the Five on the Floor experience is not complete these days. Plus, we're taking topics from there also because we're running out of ideas, as you can tell by today's. Check it out. It's Off the Floor. Also, check out Prize Picks. Use the code 5 FIVE. Put down your $5. You get $50 to play right away. Legal in the state of Florida. Play across the sports spectrum. You know the deal. Also helps keep us going. So be nice. Go to Prize Picks. Sign up using the code 5. Play your $5, and we're giving you 45 additional dollars. We're not. They are. Prize Picks. Use the code FIVE. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yeah, five on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all band. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. Impact we trust, it's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the Five Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. We're going to do the second part of our depressing series. How many current Miami Heat players would play on the conference finalists? We say this as we're waiting for Oklahoma City to play against Minnesota tonight. OKC with a 2-point win in Game 4, which has pushed the Wolves to the brink of elimination. So we're looking at an Oklahoma City-Indiana final. I guess that's the Southwest Airlines series, I think. Something along those lines. I got to say, my heart goes out to the National NBA writers. It does. Before we get to today's episode, because all they ever talk about the whole year, and I was one for a long time, is where are we going to spend those 2 weeks for the finals? So for years, Los Angeles with the Lakers, or of course Miami, where they invaded my hometown, when my new adopted hometown. Well, Miami's not really my town. Fort Lauderdale is, but they were close enough. And this year, they're going to get Indianapolis, which means I guess they get the shrimp cocktail at Elmo's. That's all they ever talk about, like the combine. It's good, but I mean, it's just horseradish. And it's like 4 blocks of stuff. And check out the slippery noodle while you're there, by the way. I used to see NFL coaches getting plastered out of their minds. Or OKC, where they can go to, I forgot what the little area downtown is called, but basically I once tweeted when the Heat were playing against OKC in the finals, because I guess I'm a Miami snob and elitist, that if the Thunder had won that championship, they would have had a parade back and forth down one street. So that's what you're getting. So enjoy. Anyway, the Heat are not going to the finals this year. We know that. They were eliminated in the first round. And we did a first round, Alex and I did. You can follow me at Tropical Blanket, Alex Toledo. And we did a first round where we tried to not project, but we said, which Heat players currently on the roster, not those they may go after this offseason, currently on the roster, finish the season on the roster, would play and or start on the conference finalists. So a little bit of controversy about your particular pick when it came to Tyler Hero, where you basically said he wouldn't start on either of the Eastern Conference finalist teams, correct? Getting that right? I said he would start on Indiana. I'm starting him over Nembhard. Right?
I'm standing on it. I caught some heat for this, no pun intended. Yes. But and it really wasn't. Like, we'll get more into it. It really isn't shade at Tyler, as opposed to situation. But yeah, I got to stand on it, man.
All right. Well, you're standing on it. I said he would start there, but he wouldn't start on the Knicks, and that Bam would start on either. Although some actually there's an anti-Bam crew on Twitter, and I got a couple of tweets at me today that he wouldn't start on Indiana. Some would take Miles Turner over him in that offense, but anyway, we'll get to it. All right, so we're going to go through on the first half of this episode. We'll talk about Minnesota, then we'll talk about the Thunder, which players would actually start and or play on this. So let me go through those who got minutes in the last game. Okay, so here was the starting lineup. The last game for Minnesota: Rudy Gobert at the 5, Julius Randle at the 4, Jaden McDaniels at the 3, Anthony Edwards at the 2 with Mike Conley at point. Again, if you're going to put somebody in, you have to take somebody out. Okay, so we can't say, well, they would play next to this guy. So let's go through it, Alex. Which of the Heat players would definitely start on the Wolves as currently constituted?
Bam over Gobert.
Okay.
I don't think it's
I'll give you that.
Like, yeah. And I'm not somebody who's always trashing Rudy. Like he's obviously good at what he's very good at, and accounting for that and not trashing him, I just think Bam just clears him.
Wiggins or Jaden McDaniels?
McDaniels, for sure.
Me too. Unfortunately. Okay. Randall or I guess we're gonna start Bam at the 5. Can you make a case for Ware over Randall? We can't, right? So no.
No, not, and I wouldn't say Ware over Gobert either before, because I think some people will probably mention that.
Yeah, they can't. You can't. The guy's won Defensive Player of the Year awards, regardless of what we may think of him.
Maybe if Ware was like a knockdown shooter, but he's just not there yet. He's not, but then that would separate them. But playing a similar-ish role, I would absolutely take Gobert. It's not even close right now. If you're just talking about right now, again, that's what is that what this, just to make sure that's what all of this is, right?
Yes,
it's like
yes. This is not.
Who would you rather have building for the future?
No. This is not a projection. All right, so let's get to the backcourt. Tyler's not starting over Ant, but can you make a case that you could play him with Ant and sit Conley?
Mm-hmm. This is like the one for me that I circled. I'm like, okay, this is the easiest case to make for Tyler. I think obviously Conley is probably a little bit of a better defender, but it's not, the difference there probably isn't that big considering how like he's just older, smaller, he's fine. He helps them create offense. So I'm not trying to take away from what he does. Like he's very much like that veteran table setter type of player, like they keep starting him over other guys who are big contributors for them, in a similar kind of like, in that guard class, right? They play him over DiVincenzo and Alexander Walker, despite how good they are for them, because he helps them table set. So there will be questions about like Tyler, how he would replicate that role, even with the playmaking that he's had. But I think he's the one that you slot over there in Conley.
I would too. I mean, I think putting Tyler next to Ant takes the tougher defensive assignment. You've got McDaniels also to protect Tyler defensively, and we're saying you'd have
Gobert,
Bam or Gobert, right? So it's a natural fit there. And I love Mike Conley, but he's not the same player that he used to be. All right, nobody else is going to start on that team. Let's get to the bench.
How about well, I guess since you already said you kind of gave away I was going to say, how about like the other guys? Like we got through Tyler over Conley, but like, would you have a case for any of the other like guys that we talked about in the last show over Conley?
I mean, maybe Davion, but I don't know. I mean, I would take Conley's experience. If we're saying you're not, first thing, we're not taking Ant out of the lineup, and you're not sliding Ant to the 3. So you'd have to. It's tough to really make a case for it. I mean, if you were to say Davion or Conley, maybe we can have that discussion, saying coming off the bench. But as far as starters, the only ones I think you can make any argument for whatsoever are Bam and Tyler. That would be it. Let's get to the bench. Only really playing 3. Terrence Shannon got some minutes in the last game, but their primary 3 they're playing are. Did anybody hear this was SGA's cousin? Because ESPN can't stop talking about it.
Wow, Alexander, never heard that before.
Never heard it before. Nickeil Alexander Walker. By the way, Ryan Tannehill played wide receiver in college. That was the big joke for 8 years. They had to lead with that in every single episode. And by the way, we're not even getting into it. Nickeil Alexander Walker had 23 points in the last game. He's kind of blossomed in this role there. Don David DiVincenzo had 21 in the last game, picked up from the Knicks, and Naz Reid, a personal favorite of mine. I can't make a case for anybody on the Heat playing ahead of any of those three. Can you? Could you make a case for Wiggins over Alexander Walker? That would be it for me. I don't see it.
No, not after what we just saw. Like those guys, we would be talking about like any of the Heat guys, whether it's Davion, Duncan, Wiggins, Jovic. Like the four of those guys would be in contention for their last two rotation spots in like the regular season, but not the 8-man rotation. No, which is kind of crazy.
Ninth man, maybe. If you were to pick one of those guys, maybe an additional shooter in Duncan, would that be, or maybe Davion to pick up some of Conley's minutes? But they let Ant handle. They let Ant go to the point guard.
I think it might be Duncan or Jovic actually, because since they have already got two like pesky guard defenders coming off the bench there, and DiVincenzo and Alexander Walker, Shea's cousin, by the way, and so yeah, like I think they could use a little bit of shooting, and like Nico is like an X factor there. Like those guys can make I think a 10-man rotation for Minnesota because of all the ways that they can be covered up for on defense.
Okay, I'm with you. This is depressing, right? Okay, well, I've saved the best for last too. So on the other side of this, but both of you and I are going to have Bam and Tyler starting on this team. So if you had a lineup, does this team win a championship? If you had a lineup of Bam at the 5, Randall at the 4, McDaniels at the 3, and Ant and Hero in the backcourt, that team wins a title, doesn't it?
That's a nice team. That's an absolute like contender. Like Pat, make it happen. Ant, Randall, McDaniels. That's all you need. Just get those guys. But that would be a contender for sure.
I don't think it'd be Pat making it happen. I think it'd be A-Rod making it happen in Minneapolis. Anyway, unfortunately, I think that's the direction that would go in. All right, on the other side of this, we will get into OKC. Oof. Before we do, I want to mention a great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, our friends over at Real Estate Shop. You can find them with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com. Javier and Amanda, married couple, family, they know what your family needs when they're buying a house. Okay, when your family needs. Very similar to what theirs does, but they'll listen to all of your needs. And of course, if you're selling a house, they'll try to get you as much as possible. So check them out, realestateshopfl.com, the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. They're doing open houses here in Broward all the time. Pines, Davie, Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, but also all the way down into the Miami area. So check them out, realestateshopfl.com or the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on IG. All right, let's get to OKC. Going to go through their rotation here. This is the last game. This, by the way, is before they have like 15 first-round picks in the next 5 years. So they're not even a fully formed team yet. But let's get through it. Starting lineup in the last game. Hartenstein at 5. He's only playing about 20 minutes a night. Chet Holmgren at the 4. Jalen Williams, who's just coming off a 34-point game, at the 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP. And Lou Dort, their designated defender. They're coming off the bench with more defenders. Caruso, Cason Wallace, who's another draft pick who's panned out nicely. Kenrick Williams and Isaiah Joe, who was a pickup. And also the other Jalen Williams with an I. And has Wiggins been hurt? I'm talking about their Wiggins. So he's a nice player who can't even get on the court, because I love his game. I think he's a really good scorer off the bench who gives them some energy. Not that they need it. By the way, again, this team is not even it's full. Alex, you agree with this before we get into this Heat part of it? The best thing that can happen in the league, I think, is them winning a championship.
Why do you think that?
Because if they don't, they're going to trade picks for Giannis and
yeah, I like that. I like that theory. I've had that. I've gone through that thought process myself. It's like at the very least, you need them to be like very close. You can't have them get smacked if you're on like the make sure he doesn't end up in OKC agenda. They've got to be like, we're right there. We don't want to break up this core. It's special. But if they get smacked around by a Pacers team that nobody expected to be there, then yeah, they might go looking to press the Giannis button. So there you go. There you go, Heat fans. Yes. Here's another agenda for you. Whether you want him, I know nobody thinks he's going to end up here, and like for obvious reasons. But whether you think that or not, if you don't want him to end up there, you have an agenda now.
Just wait till OKC packages that 15th overall pick that's the Heat's pick in order to get Giannis, who, by the way, was picked 15th.
That's going to be if that pick is in there, it's along with like 4 other picks at least.
That's right. OKC will still have 20 more.
5, like,
I mean, OKC literally could just say, "Here, just Take our picks. We've got 20 more. All right, let's get to their lineup here. Okay, could you make a case for anybody on the Heat? I guess the one case that could be made would be Bam again for Hartenstein. Is that what we're doing, basically?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hartenstein is a good player, but there's no way I'm not doing that. Like if I'm the Thunder, I had that opportunity, I would do that in a second without thinking twice. Like they might go from already one of the greatest defenses ever to like certifiably like the greatest defense ever.
Yeah, I mean can you imagine? My God. Okay.
I don't want to.
I mean,
hey,
I mean,
unless the
yeah.
price is right. No, I'm not even there, but the price would have to be insane for that to be a reality with how much the Heat value Bam.
All right, so let's get to the rest of this. You're not starting Wiggins over Jalen Williams. You're not starting Ware over Chet Holmgren. You ain't starting anybody over Shea. Can you make a case for Tyler over Dort, or is the way they play such? You put the two Kentucky guards together, or is it just the Dort is too valuable in terms of basically defending, tripping, and bullying the team's other players, essentially?
I think you can make the case. But if I had to bet, they wouldn't do it. Not that they would say, "Hey, we don't want you and can't use you." Obviously, like if they just had another guy of that level there who can really shoot, even if Tyler is not handling nearly as much as he does here, like they could theoretically use that. I just don't think they would. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about with the Knicks and the Pacers, right? Like there's guys that we would probably say he's better than, right? Like he would rank him higher if you did rankings. But again, it just comes down to fit. Like they've got their offensive infrastructure there with Shea, with Jalen Williams, with Chet, with everybody they've got there, and their defense is just like otherworldly. I don't think you mess with that by putting Tyler in there to get kind of, you're not getting the best version of him, right? So you're messing with it to just have him as like an overqualified catch and shoot guy, which I think he's more than that. So I don't think it's the right fit there. I think he would be like, an overqualified six man for them.
I think that's fair, and I think that's probably where this is headed. So let's look at the bench here. Caruso, Case, and Wallace in the backcourt. I guess that's where Tyler fits, right? 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 Are you playing him ahead of Caruso with their style?
I think
or is
Caruso.
the guy
I think he plays with both of
next
them.
to Tyler? Okay. I think that's
With
fair.
Caruso and Case.
Okay, I think that's fair. Does anybody else though crack this rotation? I guess Wiggins over but this is another team I think Jovic would be great on, by the way. Like I mentioned Indiana.
Thinking about
Like
that
I
too.
think he'd be a terrific fit here. I mean, are you taking Duncan in limited minutes over Isaiah Joe?
I mean,
As a shooter? Gonna play that
probably.
style?
Like me, I'm always. It's a little bit
Yeah.
tough also to know like with Duncan's back situation and all that. So like if you're telling me he's in the clear, he's gonna be Duncan, good old Duncan, then yeah, right. But that's not even where I was thinking. I was thinking about Jovic and if he could play over maybe Jalen Williams, maybe Aaron Wiggins. I don't know. I doubt he would.
Well, that's why I say is Wiggins hurt? I haven't seen anything. He just
I
can't crack
think
the
they're
rotation.
cycling. You know how it is, man. They just have a deep team, and Kenrich is a veteran, and Kenrich is a bigger body, frankly. Like Wiggins is nice. Aaron Wiggins is a good player, but Kenrich has a couple inches on him and is stronger. So they might just be going for the veteran who's a little bit bigger there.
So, okay. I mean, Andrew Wiggins would play ahead of Aaron Wiggins, right? Still?
Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just what he gave you at the end would leave me with like, it leaves you with like questions about whether that's even the right thing to do. It's like, okay, give that time, right? Like I wouldn't be rushing to get Andrew Wiggins on my team after what just happened, frankly. And I was somebody who was like, yeah, he's giving you stuff in the regular season and was like, okay, he gives you a little bit of everything. I think he'd be good on the Thunder, but I'd just be a little bit wary if I'm them. I think you could same thing with like Kenrich Williams. You could, Wiggins over Kenrich Williams, Wiggins over the other Wiggins. There's something there. But
he's a $30 million player, Alex. That's part of the problem here. Look,
yeah, well, we're not doing salary cap mechanics over here.
No, we're not. But I'm trying to put in perspective where the Heat are. Like, we wouldn't put Rozier on this bench. Here's the other one: Davion not over Caruso. Caruso's going to play over Case and Wallace, over Isaiah Joe.
Maybe over Joe, so but like that, I don't know if they're going to add another guy of like in that same archetype. I feel like Joe is like
really need a defender. Yeah, they don't really need a defender. They don't. I mean, they've got Shea, they've got Wallace, they've got Caruso, and they've got Jalen Williams. Like,
nobody on their team can't defend. The only guy that you could point at is maybe Isaiah Joe because of his size limitations, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So so again, like, you could make the case for Tyler and for some of these other guys who are like, bad defenders because they have such a historic otherworldly defense, right? But I don't know that they would do it. I would bet that they would start Dort over Tyler, even though you probably rank him ahead, right? And Dort has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, he's so good that they bench Caruso for him. And obviously, so they can go double big. Yeah. That tells you about how good his defense is, right? Because Caruso is up there too. And they've just got so much there that I don't know how much they would want to mess with. Again, it'll have to be like a back end of the rotation thing. And then probably those other guys on the bench get cut out during the playoffs. Maybe one of them makes it through, like a Wiggins or a Jovic, perhaps. But I don't know.
Well, he'd have work
other than Tyler. Tyler's in there.
Right. And so basically what we've said is Bam starts on at least 3 of the 4 teams, maybe the 4th as well. Tyler probably starts, in my view, on 1, maybe 2 if you're putting him over Conley. Prominent role off the bench on 2, although maybe less prominent on OKC because of their tendency towards defense. But again, if you're talking about building a team, and I know some of this is fit, and you look at OKC's war chest, these are things to consider. Like, if OKC does win a championship this year and then they cash in some of those chips to get even better, like, sort of gets me back to Brian Fonseca when he did the 2-part episode with us where he's like, maybe just punt for a year or 2. Not the way that they think, though. Alex, appreciate it. I promise not to put you through any of these types of episodes again.
I got set up twice. You got me set up to get dunked on in 2 different times, basically. But it's fine. That's what we're here for.
It's just like a carnival. It's like the podcast carnival.
Tyler's a great player, man. It's just how many of these teams would mess with what's going well for them right now
working
to fit him in there,
Orlando and Detroit. Those are the 2 I think that we identified. He would make those teams better. He would make those teams better. And those are teams that are rising. So that's kind of what you're looking at. This wasn't a Trade Tyler episode. We're not. And everything gets turned into.
By the way,
really
people on YouTube are going to hate us because we said that we were going to do that podcast about Bam.
We're going to do the one on Bam. We're going to do the one on Bam. I promise we're going to do the one on Bam. I'm going to make Greg do it.
No, I said I would do it. You can bring me on for unless the fans, if that's what they want, go ahead. But I didn't want to I didn't want to be like, hey, forced it onto Leif. Like,
no, we're gonna make Greg do it. I've got a whole list. Once Greg gets back in the fold here, there's a whole list of episodes he's gonna be irritated to me about. Alex, appreciate it. After this one, I did an episode with Adele. Was going to go up after about SGA and Halliburton, and is there a replica of either of them in this draft? 2 guys drafted out of the top 10, already on their second teams, leading their teams to the finals, potentially. We'll see. So Adele had interesting comps for both of them. So just listen to that episode and you'll get an idea. All right, have a good one, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.